Welcome into the Irish Squad Show. I'm Joe George, post-game host, and I'll tell you, Jeremiyah Love went down, but I love what I saw from Aeneas Williams.
And I'm Alan Pinkett, two-time All-American. The Irish dominated once again, but will it be enough to punch their ticket to the playoffs?
I'm Reggie Brooks, 1992 All-American. How much more do we have to do for us to secure that spot in the playoffs? I think they did what they needed to do to get that playoff spot.
And I'm Allison Hayes. I've been covering the Irish for more than 20 years, and Marcus Freeman said it best. You want the 12 best teams right now, not the best teams from week one, and Notre Dame deserves to be in the college football playoff.
Play like a champion today. It's the Fighting Irish Squad Show. Everything Notre Dame Fighting Irish every week. Breaking down the biggest news and game-changing plays the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Wake up the echoes. The Fighting Irish Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into a Sunday morning edition of the Irish Squad Show, our post-game show, since the game didn't end until 1:30 Central Time, 2:30 Eastern last night. Let's talk about this game tape from last night. The Irish win 49-20 over Stanford. We'll talk about the 10-2 season. Now that the regular season is over, we'll talk about the college football playoffs because it's obviously the hot topic going around right now. We'll talk about what we saw from the run game, the defense, CJ Carr, and all of that on today's show. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Good morning, everyone. Late night last night, but the Irish got the win. Nice and easy. Stanford scored late. Good story. A senior quarterback in his last touchdown. But, Alan, what were your thoughts last night as the game was unfolding and the Irish get the big win, 49-20?
Well, I was impressed with how dominant they came out. It was similar to how they came out against Syracuse. I mean, after the first quarter, you knew who was going to win that game. I like how they handled their business. And I hate that they got caught up in the second half of trying to over-impress those that will be on the committee. But I think that overall, they showed that they're one of the better teams in the country. And they showed that they had some quality depth, especially at running back. And depth is absolutely a necessity if they are going to be in the playoffs and make a deep run.
Reggie?
Well, you look at, you talk about that two-headed monster with Jeremiyah Love and Jadarin Price, but as you said, Joe, Aeneas Williams, that kid continues to, again, just play, do his thing, and make plays. And, I love this. The running game was absolutely beautiful throughout the game. I mean, you had 3 running backs that put the ball in the end zone, but you always got to go back to that offensive line. They absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage from the word go. I wish we'd have stuck a little bit more with the running game. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix something that ain't broke. And I'm a big fan of Mike Denbrock's, but some of the play calling, kind of toward the second half was kind of bewildering to me. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, they have not stopped the run yet. Why are we trying to, again? And CJ, he seemed a little bit off too. He wasn't quite as sharp as he's normally been. But I'm like, if they're not stopping the run, why are we trying to do something different? Why are we trying? And I did not like the fact that, and I understand that he wanted to play, but Jeremiyah Love should not have gone back in the game. I really felt that it disrupted the flow and the continuity of the offense because, again, they were kind of catering a little bit, it seemed like. But this was a dominant win, and again, I know they're going to talk about the numbers and, who Notre Dame beat Stanford by this much, beat Pitt by this much, Miami, and all the comparisons. But as Allison said, Notre Dame is definitely deserved being a member of this 12-team playoff. So I'm really liked how the game started because, again, this is the first time outside of it's been a while that the offense started fast. Mm-hmm. They came out, established the run game Offensive line really got after them. They were playing, pushing the line of scrimmage 1 to 2 yards every play. And again, just the motion, how fluid the offense ran was great. I just think they kind of got stagnant in the second half, and because they kind of went away from the run. So I think they did enough to do, they did enough to, kind of solidify their case for being in the playoffs. But we'll see, because it was kind of upsetting me that the ESPN is just really driving this narrative that, oh, well, Miami this, and now they're talking about Texas that, and it always points back to Notre Dame of who should be ahead of Notre Dame versus, Notre Dame deserves to be in the 12-team playoff.
For me, I don't know if you guys were on X at all last night, just watching the game, especially in the second half. People were freaking out about how the Irish had let their foot off the gas. And I kind of felt that too. I mean, they were dominating so much in that first half. They scored on every possession but one, only punted once. And you really expected that to continue in the second half. And so it was, which is funny. I mean, that's where the point we're at, where we were disappointed that it was, they scored 42 points when you did feel like and that means they didn't cover the spread, right? That was the biggest thing, probably why people were freaking out. But I mean, they had the ability where they could have scored a lot more in that second half. The problem was, if you're going to let your foot off the gas, why do you still have your starters in so deep into the game? I know that at one point in the third quarter, they had taken all the wide receivers out and cleared the bench, but then they still had Carr in, they still had Love in. And then on defense, they still had Adon was in, Drake was in. So you saw a lot of the starters still on defense deep into this game, but yet it felt like they weren't going as aggressive as they had been. And so that part was confusing. If you're going to take your foot off the gas, go ahead and put all of your backups in so you protect your key players. And to your point, Reggie, about Love, I felt the same way, but I think, just opinion, I think the strategy behind that maybe was they needed the committee. They needed people to see that Love is healthy. He was fine. He could come back in. He can still play. He can still perform. Because if there's any question mark about that, if they take him out and it's like, is he healthy? If there's a chance he's not going to be healthy for a playoff run, do they get in? Because those kinds of things do matter. If one of your key players is out, it does affect whether or not they're going to look at Notre Dame as a team that can still win without them. I think obviously the run game.
Ask Florida State if it matters.
Win.
Yeah.
Aeneas Williams and Jadarian Price are incredible, and that run game can do it.
That's my point, though. I mean, Jeremiah's out, but the guys that his backups were killing it. I mean, Aeneas, boom, breaking off runs. Jadarian, he didn't play that much, and it's like he was breaking off runs. I'm like, you don't need. I mean, and that bothers me that. Because Notre Dame is more than just one player. I can see if this is the quarterback position and, you have one quarterback and starter. And again, the offense seemed to stagnate with Love in there. Not that he was the reason that it stagnated. It just, it just bothers me that you have to kind of do something different to make sure that people see Jeremiah is okay. Like, if he wasn't okay, again, put him back in there for a hot minute. But when you see he was not as explosive as he was, that first quarter or the first half. So just, okay, boom. Okay, he's good. But we got two other guys that are killing it right now too. So we're all right.
Why risk it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it looked like a knee to the ribs, so it's not like the worst injury ever, but like I think it's to Allison's point, like it shows like there's nothing broken there because like you wouldn't put him back out there if his ribs were broken or anything like that. But like he had a big boy like put his full weight of him and knee right to the gut. Like I think it was just the way it kind of fell. Like it didn't look too bad. Like it was I think it was a fine hit, but it just it's good he's healthy. And look, it does matter because I think it's a great point of like showing your players are healthy. And we're going to talk more about the college football playoffs. We're going to be doing 2 Irish squad shows as we lead up to the playoffs, assuming Notre Dame gets in. And, a lot will have to break their way, I think, to, fully secure that. But I don't understand like how they're not at least 8 when the rankings come out on Tuesday, because at some point this nonsense with Lane Kiffin's going to end, and half their roster is going to leave Ole Miss to go to LSU before the playoffs. Like Notre Dame has to be in front of Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin, in my opinion. Like Ole Miss should be 9 at best without Lane Kiffin, in my opinion. So Notre Dame's spot for me should be secure in the playoff. We'll talk more about it. But it's good he's healthy. Everyone came out healthy for the most part. Like they're good to go. Let's before we get into the offense in the next segment, then the defense in the following one, though, the trick play. What a play!
Yes.
What a play call out of nowhere. Like Gutsy, you're deep in your own territory, Alan, and you call that thing. Was it 84-yard touchdown pass? I think is what it ended up being.
Yeah.
What a play call! I love the guts to do something like that against Stanford. It's great coaching. It's great awareness that Stanford's not ready for it. So, Alan, as it's playing out, what are your thoughts? Because I was like kind of looking away because it's a punt and I'm not really paying attention. And all of a sudden I heard Brock Osweiler going nuts.
Well, it made me stand up from my comfortable position on the couch when it did happen. But, I like the fact that they continue to be innovative on special teams, put a lot of things on film, and each one of these plays has been different. I don't think they've run the same one twice, but it's been an education in how many different ways you can advance the ball on 4th down. But I like the aggressiveness. I like the fact that they valued each possession early in the game and were determined to make the score. And I think it just makes them appear a lot more dangerous.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me. I was just like, great play, but you had Burnham throwing the pass. Let's start with the pass. A defensive lineman throwing a pass. No way in my wildest dreams I'm thinking this is the guy that's going to be throwing the ball. And it just, it played out perfectly. And how about Luke Talich? He's Johnny on the spot.
That move he made on the punt returner was nasty.
Yeah. But no, you go back games and said, boom, the return that he had on last week. This kid is a special teams guru, not to mention he's damn good football play on defense too. And a cover guy. But that was ballsy. That was just a ballsy ass play to throw. Because we were what 30-yard line. Because
it was inside the 30.
Inside the 30, because that was an 80-yard play.
Yeah,
that's insane. So Coach Freeman continues to show his moxie, but again, that puts a lot of teams on a high alert that you don't know when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. So you got to be ready for Notre Dame special teams every single time they go out.
Yeah, he just doesn't play scared.
Yeah, it just shows the confidence that he has in Marty Biaggi too, and Marty Biaggi has earned that. The plays that he's able to come up with, and that was one they said they kind of had in their back pocket. And how awesome. Josh Burnham, that blew me away. I guess he was a former quarterback in high school, which I did not know that. So good for him to get that opportunity. But and that's exactly how you get caught off guard, right? That was from out of nowhere and executed perfectly. Luke Talich has been so fun to watch. And I think Coach Freeman said he's his Swiss Army knife because he can do it all. And he's proven that. He literally can do it all. He had an 84-yard touchdown reception. Just so fun, so cool. And you look forward to it because with Marty, we saw it last year with him. We saw it in the years before that Notre Dame has become a team you have to be looking out for on special teams. But man, on the 30-yard line, who would think that? That was incredible. When you talk about gutsy calls, that was just moments after Kalen DeBoer had done what he did. They're going for it on 4th down for Alabama in the Iron Bowl. So it was, everybody had been talking about that, and the big we'll say the big cojones that DeBoer had. Well, I think you could say Freeman and Biaggi are right there with him.
Alan and Reggie, before we go to break, I'm just curious, when we talk about the playoffs, how much of is that play you think intentional to whether you're playing, Texas Tech or Ole Miss or whoever in the first round of the playoffs? How much of that is intentional? Because now you know in your first round playoff matchup and going forward that these teams are going to have to prepare extra time for your special teams unit and take time away from focusing on things like Jeremiyah Love and CJ Carr.
I think that they are absolutely playing to the committee. I think they are totally playing, and they wanted to get a fast start because it was a late game, and so they needed to put some stuff on film before 11 o'clock.
Good
So,
point.
yeah, so they had to make a statement early because. When they made that statement early, there was just no doubt about who was going to win. So whatever happened later in the game didn't matter. The only way it would have mattered is if Stanford would have come back and won. But the statement they made early in the game, in the first quarter, solidified the fact that, okay, this team is solid.
Well, you talk about a fast start, that's always important. But that does put a lot of, teams on high alert when, Notre Dame gets in the playoffs, that first round. You just have to, that creates a lot more angst whenever, you get to a special team situation. You have to look at this and say, well, because I think a little time later they had, someone else back there.
Yeah, quarterback.
And it creates a lot of indecision and consternation for a special teams coach that you have to look every single play. Our defense, it doesn't matter. And again, when they did where they did it from, really, it was like, oh wow. They have no qualms about pressing the envelope and pushing the envelope, because that's not something you do. The metrics and everything. That's not a metric. There's no metric for that. So I think it's very purposeful to say, hey, look, if you're playing Notre Dame, you better watch out, because we're going to pull out all the stops, and that creates a lot of tension for a lot of teams. So it definitely put a lot of teams on notice.
To your point about playing for the committee, I hadn't thought about that really, about the kicking aspect, because throughout the game you're seeing people like, oh, they should kick a field goal, and I'm thinking the same thing. They need the practice. They should kick a field goal, but why risk missing another field goal when all eyes are on you and you don't want to make any mistakes? Play it clean, score the touchdowns. If you've got that confidence in your team, they were able to convert on fourth down, and we'll deal with that kicking game when we absolutely have to.
3 of 3 on fourth down. So perfect on fourth down.
Doesn't get any better than that. Let's talk about what we saw from the rest of the offense as a whole, from Jeremiyah Love, Price, Williams. Let's get all of that next here on the Irish Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams, for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts with great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. This is a great idea, because I was just thinking about this the other day. I live in Houston, Texas right now. The World Cup's coming to Houston. I'm absolutely going to be using Gametime. Even though I'm not a huge soccer fan, I feel like I have to go to a World Cup game just to check it out. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets at every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go Gametime. All right, guys, so the offense, the first 2 drives are 11 plays, 66 yards, ending with a Jeremiyah Love touchdown run, and then an 11-play, 61-yard drive, ending with a Jadarian Price touchdown run. So they're dominating on the ground. Aeneas Williams, a great day. His stats, I think, are comical. Honestly, when you look at them for the season, averaging 9.3 yards per carry in 2025, 24 carries, 224 yards, 5 touchdowns. Aeneas Williams taking advantage of literally every single time he touches the ball. But Alan, first, you didn't hit on, I don't think, about Jeremiyah Love staying in the game. So I want you to hit on that first, and then talk about what you saw in the run game overall in this one.
Well, I think they number one impressed a lot of people. 187 yards rushing, so that's a pretty good night. Was also impressed with the depth, especially in Aeneas Williams, because he just adds another little wrinkle to that running back room where you've got explosiveness and agility with Jeremiah Love. You've got elusiveness and speed with Jadarian Price, and Aeneas looks like just a faster Scatterboo. He's got power, but he gets through the hole so fast. I mean, he's definitely one of those. He probably failed geometry because all he knows is going a straight line. He's not trying to make a triangle or a rectangle. He just goes in a straight line. But impressed by all three of them. I didn't care to see Jeremiah Love come back in the game, but I think it was strategic that he came back in the game because again, I say that the team is playing to the committee, and I think that they just wanted to reassure the committee that dude is okay. Well enough to play and will be here for the playoffs because, like I mentioned to you, Allison, Florida State lost its quarterback that one year. They went undefeated and they didn't get in the playoffs at all because, they won their conference, but it was barely won their conference, and they just didn't look like a worthy team without their quarterback to be in the playoffs. So, rather than that be a suspicion for the committee, just put all that to rest.
Reggie, what do you think of the offense in this game?
You just look at the first, couple of drives. I mean, the first quarter, you had those two long drives, and then they come out, start the second quarter, 4 plays, 85 yards, and next drive, 8 plays, 54 yards. They had the one punt, but then they come back 9 plays, 45 yards. They just absolutely dominated that first half. I mean, they were clean, they were efficient, moved the ball up and down the field pretty easily, at least in my opinion. They were in total control of that game for the entire first half, and they looked dominant. You watch how I still say CJ wasn't as sharp as he is normally as he has been, but that running game is flawless. I mean, you saw Stanford, they were what, 7, 8 guys in the box every play, and it didn't matter. They found a way to make plays, and then you said you got a 3-headed monster. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Aeneas Williams, averaging over 9 yards a carry. Aeneas has shown that he is more than capable of being a dominant runner. And again, I get your point, Alan, about the showing the committee that he's okay, but I just really think in that second half the offense got a little stagnant, and I think the rhythm, they lost the rhythm with that when Jeremiah came back in, but after they brought him in and showed that he was okay, why not just take him out and leave him out?
Yeah. I think it's hard to maintain that intensity level, that you had in the first half because everybody was just laser focused and they got ahead. And look, 18 to 22-year-old kids, you that much ahead, you're going to win. So sometimes what creeps into your mind is, well, okay, well, I don't want to get hurt. We're going to win this game. I don't want to get hurt. So I'm maybe not going to put forth 100% effort. I'll give you 98, but I ain't doing 100% because I don't want to get hurt because I don't want to miss the playoffs. And the last thing I'll say, because I don't want to take your time away, Allison, is CJ Carr, body language means a lot to me. And when I look at CJ Carr, I see someone that's comfortable out there, and I see someone that's confident out there, with his decision making. He even ran 1 or 2 times, which was happy to see him add that to his arsenal. So I feel good that we found our quarterback, and just if people are going to be intelligent about watching this team, they will see that this is one of the best teams in the country.
Well, and even for CJ Carr to not have, a huge game, you said there were times where he maybe wasn't quite as sharp. His stats still 17 of 27, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he did have a couple of runs there, 4 runs for 15 yards on the ground, a long one of 7. So just still very, very clean, a solid game. How about that pass on, was it play action? And he finds Jordan Faison for 54 yards. I mean, that was nice to see too, right? But so when they did get away from the run game, which I don't quite get that so much, but they were very balanced in that sense that they could get you in either direction. And they're just so hard to defend when it comes to that. And Aeneas Williams, he's been a guy that just having an opportunity to see him in person, see him at practice, talk with him, talk about confidence and would you say the way he looks out there? I mean, that guy right there is the future of this program, and he's got a little bit of that, little attitude about him,
little swagger,
and he is going to be a force to be reckoned with next season.
So for people that, this is for people that watch, we've talked a lot about different, short yardage situations this season. So Reggie, did you cry happy tears when you saw CJ Carr go under center and QB sneak it last night?
I was thinking about you when they did that.
I saw him do it. I was like, oh, Reggie's going to be thrilled.
I'm sorry. I think Coach Denbrock was listening to me. That was so beautiful. And did it not seem effortless that he just went forward because the offensive line went forward? Is it that complicated? So he can take a snap from under center.
He can.
So,
he still needed a push from Love,
Jeremiyah, but
yeah,
you have that, and again, but you're going this way and not sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it wasn't complicated. It wasn't difficult. It looked fairly flawless.
Yep. Big believer in going vertical instead of horizontal.
Yeah,
big believer.
I don't understand why I said it's not taboo to go under center. It is okay. No one will be upset with you if you go under center. No one will say, hey, what the heck is Notre Dame doing going under center? No, they're not going to say it. And it works. And he can do it. So I don't know. I would like to see a little bit more of it. I mean, I'm not saying just go full on under center. But, hey, I like that move, but I need to see more of that. I need to see more of that because it is going to be effective and it's going to be necessary, especially when you're playing in the playoffs. Short yardage has not been great to us and 4th down. So it worked. Let's get comfortable with that and keep doing it.
Now, I would like to say one thing I was disappointed about, and we'll all agree. Eli Raridan did not get his
He was right there again.
Yeah, he was close again.
So
Yeah.
He's just saving it for the biggest moment. He's saving it for the college football playoff. That's all he's doing right now.
And I got another gripe with CJ. Man, put the ball on the big fella.
Yes.
He's in the zone, give him the ball. That's one of the reasons I was like perturbed. I said CJ's was a little bit off because he was supposed to make that throw. Just because it was Eli. He just needed to do that. If he'd have just done that one thing, I'd have been happy. Just get the ball. At least he tried. I give him that. But just that close again. It's like, come on, man. How many catches this guy have on the year, and he does not have a score?
Yeah.
He has 32 catches on the year,
That is
482 yards. His longest is a
touchdown.
55-yarder, but just 2
No
yesterday.
touchdowns.
I don't know.
I
I feel like they're keeping him in their back pocket because once you get in the playoffs, you're going to need to rely on him heavily. So I like the fact that they put a lot of stuff on film. We're going to go to Faison. We're going to go to Malachi. We're going to go to Pauling. And they pretty much ignore the tight end, but they know when they need Eli Raridan, he's going to be there and he's going to be able to punish a lot of defenses. And so I do like the fact that you put that stuff out there on film. You keep that defensive coordinator in his meeting room, for hour upon hour upon hour, to try and defend everything because they won't be able to stop everything.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of everything. I think from the offense in this game, and not all of it was like counted or was perfectly executed because the Malachi Fields catch in the end zone was a great throw by CJ. I thought they were going to overturn that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it was a weird day in college football. We saw one of the most bizarre plays of the season in Ohio State, where Jeremiah Smith is clearly fumbling the ball as he's going out of the end zone, but they don't overturn it. But like that throw to Malachi was great catch by him. I thought he got his foot down. But it just they showed a little bit of everything. Like the deep ball.
He got his toe. Yeah.
But you heard what they said. It has to be toe heel. I'm like, that's a new one on me. I'm like, if you get your toe down, you're in.
It's subjective. I've seen toe heel be counted. I've seen toe heel be negated. So there is no consistency. It's just how they feel that day.
I thought they were going to overturn it. Like I was like, oh, the toe's in. Like that's a touchdown. Like, and then they said it's not. And I was like, oh, okay. Like maybe it's because this game's that
I had never heard of toe heel having to be a thing, or you have to drag the toe. I'm like, the toe was in bounds when he caught that ball. Period.
Yeah. And he had possession and all that when the toe was down, and he finished out of bounds. So there has to be some clarity on that. That's one of those rules committee things. But fortunately, it wasn't, something that determined the outcome of the game. So we're okay.
All right, let's talk about what we saw from the defense. We saw a young, naive quarterback, I think, attack Notre Dame's best corner multiple times throughout the game. That we'll talk about that and just overall what we saw from the Irish defense in last night's 49-20 win. We'll do that next year on the Irish Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift. And Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to your door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. The quality is exactly what you hope for, including tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting or weeknight cooking even easier. And honestly, it's the kind of gift that brings people together. You don't need to guess anyone's size. You just order them some great steaks and food. I sent this to my wife. I said, here's a promo code. This is what I would like for Christmas. Let's go ahead and make an order. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See the website for details. All right, guys, so let's talk about this defense. Look, a young quarterback attacking Leonard Moore throughout this game, gets a nice interception, 3 pass deflections. He was really good in this game. I see our comment section unhappy with Christian Gray in last night's game. He is kind of he's very, as they're saying in the comments, like, I agree. We all know it. He's very feast or famine, some big plays, some really negative plays. But Alan, just what'd you see from the defense last night, against a really young quarterback playing for Stanford?
Let me first say, glad to see Omaha Steaks is on board because I've got 2 grown kids and I've run out of ideas in terms of what to send them for Christmas. So I've used the Omaha Steak thing before. It's easy, it's fast, it's efficient, and especially my oldest son is a dude, so I don't expect him to be a chef. So the Omaha Steaks thing makes it very easy. So glad to see they're on board. Anyway, I'm thinking that this Stanford quarterback, when he was watching film, saw the other offenses going somewhere else besides Leonard Moore, and it's like, well, maybe I should go after Leonard Moore. But he definitely showed why he is so valuable. But just from a intimidating standpoint, that defense was so intimidating in the first few series, just smothering. They so much faster than their offense. Physical, how they came and hit people. I think the defense, and I'll refer back to you, Allison, where you quoted Marcus saying, "How are we right now not in week one, right now. You look at this defense right now, this is a scary defense. And so I think all together they're complementing one another. They're getting adequate pressure, but the way that they are blanketing the receivers in the backfield and the way the linebackers and the safeties are being physical, this is somebody you don't want to meet in the playoffs.
Reggie, what'd you see from the defense?
Again, I didn't understand. I'm like, was he watching film? Did he actually watch film? I mean, there's a reason why people did not attack him. I mean, did he watch film of previous games of watching this guy? Every time you go after him, he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. So, maybe he's a young guy. He didn't understand. Like he didn't get it. But
and one of the things I just want to throw in there real quick is when they show film, you don't have to watch like an entire game and then go to another entire game. They splice and cut this stuff so they can just do 30 minutes on here is how number 15 plays. They've got the expertise to do that. So I don't know. Maybe he thought he'd make a name for himself going after this guy.
Yeah, because I kept watching. I'm like, what is he doing? And then he just kept doing it. I'm like, did the coach not tell him? Like, that's the coaching thing in my book. That's the coaching thing in my book. Leave 15 alone. You don't want to leave him alone. Find somebody else. Because again, they had success with the tight end, but defensively, I mean, I would have liked to see him get more pressure on him. With the front four, and we had a couple of blitzes, but we just weren't able to get home as much as I thought we would have. But that back end is still just playing at a high level. And how about that hit of Don Shula? Oh my, that made my heart stop.
Yeah, me too, because I was scared he could get called for targeting and miss a playoff game.
Yeah, but there was no head in that at all.
No.
He just came up and I was like, whoa, okay. And you look at Don and he just continues to play at a high level. The secondary, again, Christian Gray, he's not hurt. I mean, because he's back. It's just he does not play with the confidence that you see Leonard Moore play with. And I really feel Christian has the capability and to do it. It's a mental thing. Because too many times he's biting on double moves when he doesn't need to. Trust your footwork. Trust that you're where you're supposed to be and make the plays because he's done it. And it's like I don't know why he can't make that transition. And say, hey, I am a more than capable defensive back to cover guys because we're an attacking style defense. If you look over the last 6-7 games. This defense has continued to come after guys. So we need that back end, in particular cornerback position, to be able to lock down those receivers. And and we need Christian Gray. I mean, you got Dallas. I mean, but young guy, Dallas Golden, he's a freshman. We need Christian Gray to really lock in going to these playoffs because, as you saw, that people aren't going to keep, when the playoffs, they're not going to go after number 15.
No.
They're going to go after number 6. So if you want people to stop picking on you, start picking the ball off and and knocking passes down. And I love our linebacking core. I really thought I'm gonna butcher his name for
Madden Faramo.
Yeah. He's replacing KVA. I need more out of him. He's definitely a talented player, good player, but at that linebacker position, he's not no KVA, and we got to get more out of that spot. And he's going to have to grow up real quick because that's where they're going to go. I mean, that covering the tight end, teams are going to see, hey, Notre Dame, they're susceptible to tight end play, and that's where we've got to shore that up. If we haven't bring the safety down to cover, which we were doing a little bit of. But I love the aggressiveness. This is a Coach Freeman style defense, and I'm loving to see Chris Ash make that transition from more of a, bend don't break mentality to we coming for your behind. So get ready.
One of the arguments I think that folks were making while watching this game was, that fourth quarter, and that while he had kept throwing to Moore and challenging Moore throughout the game, and getting beat by Moore throughout the game, which was just made no sense. But in that fourth quarter, that was when they scored their first touchdown, was against Moore. And that was surprising that at that point you still had Moore and you still had a Don Schuler in. But I mean, to his credit, he finished with 5 total tackles. He had the interception and 3 pass breakups. He's just so disruptive. It's I guess they kind of just got a lucky break there in that fourth quarter when they were able to finally score on him. And talking about Madden, he had the 1 sack, just 2 sacks for the Notre Dame defense on the day. But early on in that game, first half, you couldn't do anything. That Stanford really could do nothing and gain any kind of ground or anything. It was just dominant, and that's the big thing. Showing the CFP, you want domination. Well, that's what Notre Dame did in that first half. It kind of left that door open a little bit. I mean, the game was over at that point. There was no coming back really, but they still allowed those points to be given up late in the game. That was the only disappointment, I suppose. But overall, I mean, it was dominating, and it was from start to late into the game. It was from the start of the season to what we've seen now, and the turnaround that Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman have been able to do. And it's all working towards getting back to the playoffs. And I mean, and we keep saying it does game 1 versus game 12. That's where you want to see the best team. And Notre Dame is showing that they are a better team than they were in game 1. I don't know that you could say the same thing about Miami, and I know we'll get into that, so I'll save it. But is Miami a better team today than they were in the first game of the season? We know Notre Dame is.
I will have to say this on that touchdown against Leonard Moore. That was more, again, more of a pick play. And again, you start seeing them doing more of that. So, again, it wasn't luck. I mean, they did a great job of, securing, getting the guy underneath, and Leonard Moore was chasing. He was in a chase deal because I really think they need to do a better job of passing those off, especially when you get into those, bunch sets. And then they have motion, being able to pass those off, which they have done and are capable of doing. But when they start getting those levels and getting guys underneath and running the tight end and really just pick plays, and they did a great job of picking the defenders without it looking like an actual pick, which is not easy. So I'll give Leonard Moore, hey, they got you on that one. But, that was one of the things I said that he's still shining, but I just wanted to say that because, again, they're going to see more. Notre Dame is going to see more of that because it was effective for Stanford in that second half.
Right. So he didn't get beat. Physically, he didn't get beat, but Notre Dame was in a tactical way where, okay, I got you, but if the receiver does this, then I'm swapping and I'm going to take your guy. And they didn't do it fast enough. And the pick part of it does help. Now, one of the ways you can help yourself out is you can tell the official before the game, hey, watch them because they're going to be trying to pick us and everything. And the officials will listen for that and look for that. But as far as getting physically beat, that didn't happen. It was a tactical thing where Stanford did a better job of running that play.
Something to keep an eye on, though, off topic, but with defense, Jalen Stroman was injured in this game, and it'll be interesting. He was in already for an injured Tay Johnson, so we'll see how that progresses, if he's going to be able to be healthy and ready for the playoff run.
All right, for our YouTube audience, we're going to take a 5-second break, and let's talk about what we saw from the chaotic weekend and what we're thinking going forward for Notre Dame and the playoffs. To get to that next year on the Irish Squad Show. All right, to just kind of set the stage. So at some point today, because the meeting was supposed to be happening 49 minutes ago as we're live here. The Lane Kiffin meeting has been pushed back at Ole Miss. He's going to take the LSU job. So Ole Miss is ranked a couple spots. They're ranked 6th right now, or no, 7th right now in the country. They're losing their head coach. Texas A&M lost on Friday night to Texas. And just a reminder, the rules for the college football playoffs for people, because the college football analysts last night on TV, on social media, forget this. It is the highest rated 5 power conference champions, which means if Duke wins the ACC title, James Madison probably will be in the college football playoff along with someone like Tulane or North Texas, and the ACC could get left out of the college football playoff, which is insane, which is absurd. I can't believe that might be on the table here. So all that being said, like Notre Dame, you do have to be concerned that if both Alabama and BYU win their conference championships, that they will get pushed in front of Notre Dame, and thus Notre Dame will miss the playoff because of James Madison potentially, and or Virginia, and Tulane or North Texas, whoever ends up being. So it's not a lock. They showed it last night, 81% chance to make the playoffs for the Irish. So just Alan, like as this weekend's unfolding from the A&M loss, how that affects Notre Dame, how are you feeling right now about Notre Dame in the playoffs?
I still feel confident, but I hear all these different scenarios, and it makes me take a pause and like, oh, we're not as secure as we should be. And I guess part of my problem is I watch ESPN a lot, and the point of ESPN is to have a point counterpoint show, and ESPN is totally playing into this Miami love when ESPN knows they don't even like Miami. But it gets more viewership when they can talk about Miami. And at this point, they've made Joey Galloway the bad guy because Joey Galloway has said if the season ended in week 2, then Miami would make the playoff. But right now, they got no shot because of what's happened recently. But there's still a few more things that are going to happen, but I still, I'm right along with the playoff predictor. I'm about 81% confident that Notre Dame makes it. I think that as far as the Texas A&M loss, it probably benefited Texas Tech more than anybody else. I think Texas Tech gets a bye now instead of getting a home game, and I think Texas Tech would prefer to have the home game. But the buy is significant. I don't think BYU beats Texas Tech, but it's hard to beat a team a second time. But they got some horses on that Texas Tech team that I think will be able to shut down BYU again. That seems to be the iffy one. The Georgia Alabama to me is a pick 'em. I still don't see that affecting Notre Dame's standing. And I think the committee will find a way if there is complete chaos and a James Madison and Tulane get in and a Notre Dame does. I don't ever see that happening. They're not going to let that happen because another thing the committee cares about is not only the 12 best teams, but eyeballs watching these games.
Reggie, your thoughts on the playoffs?
I just look at Oklahoma and how bad they look. So we talk about the eye test, offensively, that was not a great performance on the offensive side of the ball. Oklahoma's defense, yeah, it is the real deal. But what's, and this is kind of you can look at it different ways. What are we focused on? I mean, and as to this point, the committee has kind of put more of an emphasis on the eye test. And if you're that's kind of your measuring stick instead of strength of record, strength of schedule, and who played at home and who played across the street, and all that. If and I know Booker McFarland was talking about, well, Notre Dame got beat head to head by Miami, but the whole point is, as Allenson said, and as Coach Freeman mentioned, the best 12 teams, and but is it the best 12 teams though? Because you were talking about the craziness. Well, is Tulane or JMU one of the best 12 teams.
No.
So that's the thing, Mike said. If you're gonna, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So if you're gonna do the best 12 teams, and I am in no way, shape, or form railing against the group of 5 teams, because I think I think they should be at least in the conversation. But if you're going to say the best 12 teams, then do that. And I would lean towards Notre Dame as being one of those, but also instead of Miami railing against Notre Dame, and they beat Notre Dame, that is 100% true. But the losses should matter too. And when they were putting the side-by-side records up of Notre Dame and Miami, Notre Dame's losses were against ranked teams. Miami, they had some losses against unranked teams. So this is where if you're gonna put up stats and measurables, then do the whole thing. Don't just say, hey, here's the strength of record, here's the strength of schedule, here's how they did against the CFP. Well, how did they do against the teams that were unranked? Notre Dame beat them handily. Last 10 games they beat all their opponents by 10
double digits.
Digits. So, and the teams that they lost to, one was by 3 points, the other was by 1. The Miami's losses a little bit different. So if you're going to do it, the compare and contrast, then do that. Don't. I mean, it just bugs me that they try to create these false narratives about hey, the head-to-head matters more than anything else. No, it doesn't. Because if you're trying to get the best 12 teams, you would do what they would. Like the Big Ten and the SEC would like to do is just move the group of 5 out and just have their own little, Big Ten SEC party. So that's fine. So if you're gonna look at the playoffs, so watching this, and like I said, watching the teams play, you can't, and the eye test being a factor in this, you can't tell me Notre Dame has not shown that they've got exponentially better week after week. And if it's going to be the best 12 teams, then make it the best 12 teams. Or, hey, if you're going to have this conference champion, and that conference champion, I mean, like you said, Joe, Duke, really?
Duke won't be in the playoff. Like they won't get there if they win the title. It's crazy.
And if you talk about Miami, you're not even in your own conferences.
Yeah, you can't even win your own championship.
Can we, like I said, let's get a whole picture of this thing. So if you want to go, like I said, talk about point by point, well, give me all the points. Don't just say, well, we head to head. I mean, they're beating that like a dead horse.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
all we heard last night was
it's like they beat Notre Dame.
Showing the win comparison. And I took a picture of that graphic when they were doing it, and their common opponents, NC State, Notre Dame beat them 36-7. Miami beat them 41-7. Notre Dame beat Pitt 37-15. Miami beat them 38-7. The Stanford, of course, we know Notre Dame didn't beat them as strongly as Miami did. Miami beat them 42-7. Notre Dame gave up 20 points. But the Syracuse difference, if you're going to put a big emphasis on Stanford, then put a big emphasis on Syracuse too, because Miami beat Syracuse 38-10 and Notre Dame beat them 70-7. But you have to look at the losses, and they are putting more emphasis. I think the committee has been saying that. The committee is saying it, but the fans don't want to hear it. And the biggest thing is, I don't hate the SMU loss as much. That was in overtime, and SMU was ranked number 21. The Louisville loss is ugly for them. Granted, though, it was a 3-point loss. It was 24-21. That was in October. That's where the committee has been saying that Miami hasn't had the consistency. Notre Dame has rattled off 10 straight. That's about as consistent as you can get in college football. And when you talk about the 12 best teams, well, JMU isn't even ranked in the top 25 best teams in the country. So where's that argument stand? And maybe that's where you have the 12 best, and then you have a play-in game. Maybe you then you have a JMU and a Tulane play each other to get themselves into it or something. You know what I mean?
I
give
like that idea.
the
Well, I'll
No,
tell
I
you,
outside
like,
do.
I don't.
Yeah.
We're playing enough games because
I know,
because
but
next
I
thing you
kind of
know,
like that idea.
yeah, we already got them talking about
Yeah.
24 games. So
yeah,
Yeah.
but
No,
it's
I
coming.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
That
steer
but
doesn't
clear of
add
that
any
for
more
me.
for everyone
Yeah.
else. It would just add one
Yeah.
extra one for a team that's on the bubble trying to get in that really maybe
But I guess
doesn't deserve
when
it.
are they going to play it on a Wednesday?
Yeah,
So they can
why
be ready
not?
for a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean,
But
everything's
anyway,
going to change. It's
yeah,
like if James Madison and Tulane make the playoff this year and the ACC gets left out, like this extension that they just gave themselves to January 23rd or whatever it is to redo the college football playoffs for next year, it's change is coming. Like the
So-
fact that the ACC might get left out of this, and look, I'll say, like, I think the funniest thing and honestly the best thing that they can do is Reggie mentioned Oklahoma. John Mateer has not looked good. That offense has not been good. And I apologize to the Ole Miss players that are going to stay, but you don't deserve to be in front of any of these teams. You deserve to make the playoffs. We don't deserve to be in front of any of these teams if your coach and half your roster leaves. Like, the best thing they could do, Notre Dame 8, Miami 9. Put the game in South Bend. Like find a way, put those teams in front of Oklahoma, put them in front of Ole Miss, and make them 8-9. Like just do it. Like find a way to do it. Just who cares? Talk about ratings, Allen. Like the matchup everyone's been talking about for 3 months now, week 1, just play it again in the playoffs. Like that would, to me, would be awesome if they could find a way to do that.
So
the
there's only
ratings for
one
that game
problem.
would be incredible. That'd
Yeah.
probably be one of the most watched games ever.
Yeah, there's only one problem with that though. It makes too much sense. So
Well, because they can just mix and match.
Yeah. But I think one thing we're going to hear a lot as we go through this process is body of work. And I am fully confident that the committee looks at a number of things and they don't fall in this trap of head to head, because if head to head mattered, why the hell is Oklahoma in front of Texas?
Yep.
Boom.
So head to head is a metric, but it's just one of the metrics in the body of work. And when I look at the body of work, and Allison, I'm glad you pointed out some of the score differentials of familiar opponents between Notre Dame and Miami. But Miami threw a touchdown pass with like 20 seconds left against Virginia Tech. And against Pitt, threw another touchdown pass with 41 seconds left. Notre Dame had already called off the dogs, so you can't just.
To be fair, Notre Dame did try to score late in this game last night and couldn't pull it off.
They did, and then they said, "What the hell are we doing?" Yeah,
But
and just let the clock run.
But they did it with their backups.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that can't be overstated. That Notre Dame had put the backups in, and they pretty much played the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And Miami against Pitt, Miami was there. I mean, because what's the quarterback's name? He the one taking the knee. Carson Beck was the one taking the knee at the end of the game. So and I'm sorry. What was the timeout by Pitt when Miami scored?
Yeah.
Is something wrong with him that he?
He did that. That made me feel that they were in cahoots. It seemed like, okay, I got to do something to benefit my conference. I got to benefit the ACC conference. So let me give them one more chance.
I've never seen. I'm like,
yeah,
you don't have the ball. Why are you calling timeout? You're not going to go. You're not going to get the ball. The ball wasn't imminently coming back to you. It wasn't like a third down.
There was no benefit to him calling a timeout, none whatsoever. And it made me think of conspiracy theory. How do I help my conference? Because a lot of these schools are mad at Notre Dame because they're not in a conference. So how do I help benefit my conference? Oh, I know. Let me call a timeout so they can draw up the perfect play, and we might play a little bit of defense. But if they score again, it benefits our conference.
Hey, Joe, can I ask all of you guys a quick question just to get your opinion on this? So with the whole Lane Kiffin debacle happening and it's imminent, he's going to be going to LSU. If you're Ole Miss, whether your feelings are hurt or not, Do you allow Lane to coach and,
No.
and finish out,
No,
or you
no,
take
no,
him
no,
out?
no.
Take him
Even though
out.
it could benefit your team as a whole if he does stay and coach?
Okay, if he stays, he's going to be recruiting those players.
He's already
Like,
recruiting them.
But if
Mhm.
he's gone, get gone. You're done. You're done. Because again, he's going to take players. He's going to take staff. Jar said, I'm not a fan of that. I'm like, again, I know people talk about finish what you start, but he has been milking this thing
Yeah.
for like months now.
It's a
I'm
clown
like,
show.
yes, and it's irritating because we're watching football games yesterday, well, Friday and Saturday, and every other deal is about Lane Kiffin and where he's going. I don't give a damn.
You know what it reminds me of? It's so Jerry Jones like with the
Oh my
Cowboys.
God.
We're just like, I'm gonna make everything about me. I'm gonna make everyone talk about me. And like that's all it felt like this weekend was like Lane Kiffin just loved that during halftime, during the pregame, it's like we're waiting for this 9:30 kick to become a 9:40 kick. And it's just like all they're talking about is Lane Kiffin, like nonstop. There was a
whole alert about that. There was a whole alert of like, we're gonna go right when we hear the story, and when it breaks, we're going right to that. And I'm like, you had some great games taking place this weekend, and that just really burned me up because it's like, why is that the focus instead of the games that are being played? And this is rivalry week, so you can't tell me this was not just purposeful on his part to just be the center of attention during rivalry week. Like,
Well, personally, I would like to see him finish what he started, but I also understand it's a conflict of interest. And so, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Forgive me for the cliche, but it's going to have to be one way or the other way. You can't have both.
Go ahead, Allison.
Well, I agree with you. And if I'm Ole Miss, I would probably say, go on, get gone. But if he's coaching, he's leaving and he's going to take as many of his players and staff anyway, right? Whether he coaches in the playoff or he doesn't, he's taking everybody with him that he can. And so does him coaching in that game and maybe keeping those guys there in that game give them a better chance of winning? What if they could win a national championship if he stays? That's the argument, I guess. And you don't know. And maybe it's too dangerous to let him stay. But man, if you have a chance to win it all or win any playoff game with him and allowing him to coach it, is that better than telling him to kick rocks and then you lose your first playoff game and you're out?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it seems like is the delay here, is that he has been trying to convince the Ole Miss athletic director to let him finish the job and let him, coach. But it sounded like it's got ugly where he was like, well, I'm just going to take everyone. I'm going to take all your coaches. I'm going to take all your players. And I think Joe Judge, the former Giants coach, coordinator, is going to be the guy who fills in for Ole Miss here. But it's going to be fascinating. But like, it's the only coach being handled like this. Like, as we're doing this show, like Auburn is hiring the coach from South Florida. They're hiring Alex Golish. Arkansas was just announced they're hiring the coach from Memphis, or just reported. We saw Stanford last night. It barely even got mentioned. They hired Tavita Pritchard. Like it got mentioned only in that interview with Andrew Luck. Like it was barely even a topic of conversation in this game. And like they had just announced their new head coach, who I didn't realize Andrew Luck replaced as a redshirt freshman as a quarterback. That's what the connection is there. And he had been there forever, but there's just drama everywhere. We got a lot to talk about, and we'll be here for it. We're going 2 squad shows during the week still. We'll have the one with the 4 of us. We'll have the one with Alan, Reggie, Allison, and Tyler during the week. So we'll be here twice a week with you as Notre Dame leads up to the college football playoff. I know I've got takes ready to go. I'm ready to leave the ACC. We're going to talk about that because I'm done with that conference. So we'll hit on all of that throughout the week. Thank you guys for watching and listening on this Sunday morning. Remember, hit that subscribe button here on YouTube if you're watching either live or later. And thank you to all of our audio platform listeners as always. We'll talk to you guys later in the week. Enjoy your week. Peace.